go on a walk. So today's episode is how to be the best you. It's like one of those things I've been tackling since I moved here to San Diego. Like one of the reasons why I moved here to San Diego was so that I could find myself, you know, as crazy as that sounds. And before I moved to this beautiful city, living by the beach, I'm like, what, walking distance from the beach? I think you could even see the beach right down, not here, but on the other side of the road. Actually, let's just go to that side. Basically, what I want to talk about today is, you know, like being the best you is something that I struggled with for a long time. Like before I moved here, I wasn't sure what I was gonna do. I didn't believe in myself. I had a lot of anxiety about different things that were happening. I was seeing psychiatrists for depression at one point. So I boiled it all down to like these different things that I've been working on actively as I've been here, living here, being myself, and, you know, living the best life that I could possibly live. And a lot of it has to come from within. Like I realized that happiness and contentment and all this comes from within. So with that in mind, let's get started in how we can be the best you possible. Alright, so a big one is get fit, or get physical, get fit, get active, do things that are, you know, physical. And the thing about that is because you wouldn't really know what your perfect body is like unless you go out there and do it. And when I, for example, found surfing, I got these like abs kind of things. Like I wasn't there before. And after surfing for like a year and a half, I started seeing myself in the mirror and I was like, dude, I'm losing weight, I'm looking better. People are actually hitting on me a lot more. Like girls would say things that they wouldn't normally say beforehand. If I hadn't lost all this weight and like I hadn't like, you know, become fit. And at the same time too, you learn so many different lessons from the sport when you go and do it. Like for example, surfing, you have to overcome fears. You have to learn how to balance and move your legs, move your body in certain types of ways. You're more in touch with your body. And when you're more in touch with your body, everything seems to turn out a little bit better. Accept yourself and be okay with who you are. Like for example, my desk is messy. It's alright, it's not that bad. Jokes aside, accepting yourself with who you are goes so much further than that. It's like I have always been trying to please somebody, and I've always been trying to hit this like certain goal that my parents or society or people around me have put on me, and that just made me super unhappy, just like chasing this goal and not chasing what makes me happy. So once you accept that, hey, you don't have to please everybody. I actually learned that here in San Diego when I lived with my roommate, is that he doesn't fall for peer pressure. And the thing about peer pressure is it doesn't matter. Like if your friends tell you to want to go, like if your friends ask you to hang out and they keep peer pressuring you and you're like no, if they're good friends, they'll stay around. If they're bad friends, they're just gonna dip. And you want friends that say you suck and just dip because you didn't want to hang out. You have other priorities in mind. Like for example, imagine Mark Zuckerberg. If you're Mark Zuckerberg in high school or college, he wasn't going out and partying. Straight up, like that guy. Yeah, maybe once or twice, a few times in a year, but most of the year he wouldn't be out and partying and smoking in the dorm rooms or chilling for hours doing nothing. That holds you back from getting where you want to be. So Mark is aware of that and he's just doing his work. And you know, if his friends dipped and were like, hey man, this guy is a loser, I'm not gonna hang out with him, then they missed out on being friends with Mark Zuckerberg. So you also have to be cognizant that like, hey, if you're peer pressuring your friends and they don't want to hang out with you, they're doing something that's more important, it's okay. You should accept that. And also it's okay to chase your goals and be yourself. I think we live in a wonderful world where on the internet you can actually be yourself and find other people that are interested in the same thing as you are. So for example, me on YouTube right now, I'm just totally me. And there's people that comment and say like, hey, I totally vibe with your stuff, or hey, you totally inspire me because you're just being you. And before I would have been nervous, like before I did all this YouTube stuff, I was nervous to even get in front of the camera and be myself because I was like, oh man, people are gonna judge me. It doesn't matter who judges you because the only person that could judge you is yourself. That's it. Like if the neighbor judges me, I don't give a fuck what he thinks. That's one thing I learned too from like smart people around me, is that they don't care what other people think about them because they have their priorities in line and they know where they're going. If you accept yourself and be okay with all your wants and needs and just being you, you're gonna have a lot better of a time and you're gonna be so much happier, and at the same time people are gonna love you. There's people that are gonna hate you either way, and there's people who are gonna love you for being you. And I think it's a loss or a disservice to the people that love you for being you if you don't be you. Finally, the last one, thinking. Like thinking, making decisions with reason and logic. Now that's something that I feel like is kind of not done enough. Okay, for example, let's do my freelance career. When I started thinking about what people benefited from the products I was making and how much to charge because of the competition around or how much they needed my product, I was able to make the most out of the relationship and charge the most, and at the same time provide the most value. Like to be able to have an understanding of what's going on around, it actually helps you understand the situation a lot better and to help you make better decisions. So I think a lot of times we just really don't make enough informed decisions. So for example, even with relationships, if you're thinking about like, hey, what good qualities do I have that people might like, and what would that person gain from being in a relationship with me, then you kind of have like a better sense of what it's like to be in that relationship and bring value to that relationship, instead of being like, oh wow, this girl's so hot, I shouldn't even be able to go out with her. Because like when you realize the whole situation of what's going on, you might, be able to make better informed decisions, and as a result, you'll be able to work with cool clients, date beautiful women, and at the same time you even realize that, hey, sometimes maybe this really, really beautiful girl is not the right match for you, and that you don't end up pursuing that relationship. And even with career stuff too, like thinking helps put you in like a spot where you can have leverage on what you're doing at work and why you're doing this at work. How come your boss is telling you this and that? For example, situations at work where it's like stressing you out, you could be like, hey, this is stressing me out, I don't have time to do this. Maybe the best use of time would be if I did this and solve that issue for you, because ultimately everyone wants to get something done at work, and if you can solve it for them, then perfect. You'll help save them some trouble, and at the same time you'll help save yourself some trouble. So use your brain and think about the decisions that you're making, decisions that other people around you are making, what your friends are doing, like why they're acting a certain way. Live your life off rational, logical decision making. That's it. And if you do those things, you're gonna be on the start to a really, really great life. So within the last few years, I have been actively putting these things into place, and I found myself to be so much happier. And like, I still have dark moments, I still have dark days, but at the same time, I could see through that and see the logic behind things, and know that I'm also living a really great life. And like, if you learn how to think rationally, like what was mentioned earlier, you realize that you're living a great life. So yeah, implement these things and go out and live your life.